president of Xero Thera, Inc. Where am I shooting? The problem today is infections in surgical sites. Surgical site infections have a higher mortality rate than breast cancer, melanoma, Hodgkin's lymphoma, and many other cancers. The current standard today is a surgeon that has, right before closing, sprinkles in a dose of an antibiotic and crosses his fingers. And that's been shown to be woefully ineffective. Next slide. And it's created a huge burden on the healthcare system. More importantly, it's a huge burden on the patient, as you can see in this particular slide. Its impact is not only on the hospital, on the patient, but on the national healthcare bill as well. Next slide. So we've developed Xero, and that's being a product that has a controlled release. It's a nanomicrostructure. Think of it this way. It's a particle the size of baking flour, yet it's 80% porous. And as you load the antibiotic, it loads fairly quickly. It releases the antibiotic, like vancomycin or gentamicin, over days, weeks, or even months. And that's really important. And the way this works is these particles are then mixed with sterile water, and the antibiotic forms a paste that is put on at the surgical site before closing. That has enormous potential as a prophylaxis on every surgical case, including starting with all the orthopedic indications. Next slide. So Xero is going forward with its first 510K as we speak. We expect to have that approved by the end of the year. That's the device side. Following that, we will provide the additional 510Ks for Xero plus an antibiotic vancomycin for revision hip surgery, to be followed by another 510K with gentamicin for trauma. These are the most of the types of surgical infections that occur in both of these trauma and revision surgery cases. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, those are the two that we talked about. Continue. Next slide. The growth curve is the release kinetics of our product, shown here on the left, shows a continuous sustained release over 3 weeks. That's remarkable. There's one other product that just got approved in the market today by a Swedish company called Bone Support. It's a CereMed product, peaks out at about 3 or 4 days. It's a first generation product. Ours is really the next generation. I like to think of it, first one as a BlackBerry, and we're the iPhone. Next slide. You can see on this slide the growth curve is after first years of commercialization at a 20% penetration rate into a $5 billion market opportunity in the U.S. alone. We see a growth curve of $75 to $80 million at peak sales in 5 years. That translates easily to a $500 to $700 million market valuation. Next slide. We've raised about $2.2 million since inception, $1.4 million of that in convertible note financings and another $800,000 in a grant. We're doing a two-part raise right now. We're doing a $750,000 SAFE. I don't know if you're familiar with a SAFE. It's not unlike a convertible note, but it's a simple agreement for future equity. It has a $10 million market cap, and it has a 20% discount to the A round. We'll be doing the $5 million A round upon approval of our first 510K, which is due by the end of this year. So around the first of the year, we'll do the A round. And that will convert the SAFE at that particular point in time. We expect that to be a higher valuation. Finally, next slide. We're an experienced team. This is my 6th venture. 2 IPOs, one company sold to Johnson & Johnson, another Stryker Corporation. Founders, Dr. Paul Duchenne, is the renowned biomaterial science side of the University of Pennsylvania, and the core of we have an experienced team that goes over 150 years of life science experience. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you at the booth, and we can talk more. Cheers.